previous assignment. All right, guys. What we're doing today? More factoring. Because again, we're going through it because I want to make sure we get an understanding of it. Because again, I think the best way to classify factoring is there's not a lot going on, and there's a lot going on all at the same time. And once we start seeing the patterns and the patterns of how this works, we'll be able to determine which factors are more likely to work and to check first than ones that aren't. That way we get to the answer a little bit quicker. First step is greatest common factor. Is there a number that goes into all three terms? 8, because 8 goes into 8x squared, and if we factor it out, we're left with x squared. If we factor 8 out of 56, we divide 56 by 8. It is 7. So we get minus 7x plus 48 divided by 8 is 6. Now again, just a reminder, since we factor that 8 out, it is a part of the final answer. We do need the 8, that greatest common factor, included in our answer. Now we can move on to step number 2, our 2 sets of parentheses with 3 spaces. If the third term is positive, the signs are the same and match the sign of the middle term. If the third term is negative, the signs are opposite. Well, here the third term is positive. So the signs are the same and they match the sign of the middle term, which is negative. So both the signs are negative. Questions on this here? Questions on this so far? Now we need to find the factors of the first and third term. Well, our first term is x squared. Well, the only factors of x squared are nx. Factors of 6. 1 and 6. 2 and 3. Which one do we want to try first? 2 and 3. And we can check this here. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Is negative 5x the middle term we wanted? Now we could switch 2 and 3, but that will give us the exact same thing. So we need to try what? 1 and 6. And if we check this here, x times negative 6 would be negative 6x. Negative 1 times x is negative x. Negative 6x minus x is negative 7x. Is that the middle term we wanted?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking at the top.
So we would only look back at the top if we didn't factor anything out. Since we factored the 8 out, we're looking at the negative 7x. Because if we multiply negative 7x by our 8, that greatest common factor, it will get us back to negative 56. So that's also why we need that greatest common factor out front, because it does affect us getting back to the top. Without the 8 out front, it would just get us back to here. Questions on this here? (14x squared plus 31x plus 15). Greatest common factor is? There isn't one, so we have to go to step number 2. Our 2 sets of parentheses with 3 spaces. Our next step from here is to find the signs. If the third term is positive, the signs are the same and match the sign of the middle term. If the third term is negative, the signs are opposite. Third term's positive, so the signs are the same and match the sign of the middle term, which is also plus. So we have plus and plus. Now we need to find the factors of the first and Third term, our factors of the first term, we're looking for the factors of 14x squared. We know the factors of x squared are what? X and x. We'll go on and list those down because there is only one set of factors for x squared. So might as well put them down so we have one less thing to worry about. But we still need to find the factors of 14. With some of these bigger numbers, it might be easier to start off with 1 and the number itself, so 1 and 14. And then increase from there. So 1 and 14, our next possible factor is 2 and 7. From there we would go 3. Well, 3 is not a factor. Then we try 4. 4 is not a factor, and that's about where we wrap up, because it would be 4 and 3 point something, because it would be 3.5. Yeah, 3.5. So we're done. That's as far as it goes. But we do need to pick one of these, 1 and 14 or 2 and 7. What do we want, 2 and 7? All right. We kept getting an even number of votes, 2 and 7. Third term's 15. We need the factors of 15. Well, we have 1 and 15. 3 and 5. Yeah. 1 and 15 or 3 and 5. Which one do we want to try?
3 5.
Which one goes first?
3.
5. Now at this point here, does it really matter how we set this up for the most part? No, because we need to just plug them in and check. Because if we get the correct middle term, we're done. If not, we make some adjustments. 2x times 5 is 10x. 3 times 7x is positive 21x. And 10x plus 21x is that the middle term we wanted? And that's it there. Questions on this so far? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, there's stuff there.
Yeah, you can just put it on my desk. So let's look at this one here. 2x squared minus 7x plus 5. Is there a greatest common factor? Technically, there is a factor of 1, but factoring it out doesn't do a whole lot. 2 sets of parentheses with 3 spaces. So the third term is positive, so the signs are the same and match the sign of the middle term. So we have minus and minus. 2x squared, we need the factors. Well, factors of x squared are x and x. Factors of 2, 1 and 2. So we can just plug the 2 in one of the 2 spots. Factors of 5, 1 and 5. 1 and 5, do we want to put next to the 2? 5. 1. And then we can check. 2x times negative 1 is negative 2x. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. Negative 2x minus 5x is negative 7x. Is that the middle term we wanted? Now, when you check the 2x, negative 2x minus 5x, we can't plug that in a calculator because the 30x's and the graphing calculators we have to have a value for x. The coefficient is the number in front of x. I can still plug in negative 2 minus 5 because that's really what we're doing. And the calculator will do negative 2 minus 5, and it will tell us that it's negative 7. They both have x, so it's negative 7x. So we can plug that in. We just can't plug in x. Questions on this so far? 3x squared minus 14x plus 8. Greatest common factor. two sets of parentheses with three spaces. If the third term is positive, which it is, the signs are the same as the middle one. So here they're both minus. Factors of the first and third term. Factors of 3x squared. X and x. 3 and 1. So we'll have 3x and x. And especially if the signs are the same, it's not going to matter a whole lot where we put it. We just need to put it down. 8. Which one do we want to try first? 1 and 8 or 2 and 4? 2 and 4. 2 and 4. And then we can check. 3x times negative 4 is negative 12x. Negative 2x, negative 2 times x is negative 2x. These have been working out kind of nicely that we've been able to line them up exactly how they are on the first try. All right, guys. Here we go. So is there a greatest common factor between these three terms? No. All right, guys. No greatest common factor, so we're moving straight to our two sets of parentheses with three spaces. If the third term is positive, the signs are the same. Match the sign of the middle term. Since it is negative, our signs are different. They're opposite. So we have positive and negative. It really doesn't matter. And the question is, does it matter where the plus and minus go? And no, it really doesn't, because of the last part of step 5 is the check. Because if we put them in the wrong spot and things don't match up, the check step will tell us they're not set up right. Or instead of the plus being first, we need the minus to be first. So the check step tells us. That's why we have that there. Because at this point, we just need to throw everything in, check it, and if we got the middle term correct, we're done. If not, edit it. 4x squared, well, x and x. Factors of 4. 1 and 4, 2 and 2. Which one do we want to try first? 1 and 4. Where do you want to put the 4? First set or second set? Factors of 5. 1 and 5. Next to the 4x, do we want 1 or 5? 1, 5. And then we're going to check. 4x times negative 5 is negative 20x. 1 times x is plus x. And negative 20x plus x is negative 19x. Is that the middle term that we wanted?
I think she did it before we did that.
And that's it. Questions on this here? We ready for the next one? No greatest common factor because the middle term is 1. Since our third term is negative, the signs are different. They're opposite. One's going to be positive, one's going to be negative. Now we need to find the factors of the first and third term. Now our 6x squared will have x and x. Factors of 6. 1 and 6 and 2 and 3. So, which one do we want to try first? It's 2 and 3. Okay. Factors of 12. 1 and 12. 6. 3 and 4. So we can try 3 and 4 first. Now, I want y'all to watch this next part here, so I wouldn't write this down. But, like we said, there was no greatest common factor to begin with, yes? So that means that there cannot be a greatest common factor in either set of parentheses. So, I'm going to start with 1 and 12. If I plugged 1 and 12 in, would we have a greatest common factor? Yeah, the 3x and 12 have a greatest common factor. So, that's one of the possible arrangements. Gone. We know 12 can't go there. Okay. There's the 2. So I'm going to switch it. Put 12 in the first one. Does that work? No, because 2x and 12. Well, there's 2 arrangements that are now gone. We didn't even have to check. Okay. Well, 2 and 3x and 6 have a greatest common factor. 2x and 2 have a greatest common factor. Again, that's another one we don't even have to check. It won't work. Let's flip it. Let's just say 6 and 2. 3x minus 2 has no greatest common factors. But 2x plus 6 does. So 2 and 3 and 1 and 12, we know neither one of those work. 2 and 3 and 2 and 6. Neither one of those work. 3 and 4. I can't have 2x and 4 together. We can't have 3x and 3 together. So out of the 6 possible combinations we can have with 2 and 3 and our factors of 12, how many of them actually worked? That means there was 5 different ones I didn't even have to try. I didn't even have to check them because of that right there. And let's check and see what happens. 2x times negative 4 is negative 8x. 3x times 3x is positive 9x. Negative 8x plus 9x is positive x. Is that the middle term? Interestingly enough, if you buy your odds of winning the lottery, if you buy more than one lottery ticket, does not improve it. It doesn't. So it's almost, with buying lottery tickets and your odds is the same as if every time like you snap a football to kick a field goal, does the guy's odds of kicking the field goal from that same position change? Now, the more times he does it doesn't mean he's more likely to kick it on the next one. They're independent events.
So if I can buy one,
Then you won. You broke. But the odds of winning are low. And most people who win the lottery are bankrupt within 5 to 10 years.
yeah, they're spending money on like stupid idiots.
You would spend it on something.
I would buy a truck, maybe. I'd literally buy a truck, and then the rest of the money I got to keep would go somewhere safe.
Okay, but man, to the bank. Excuse my French, but that's them taxes. That's like 33% of that.
I was about to say, a lot of it's going into the Swiss bank account.
So, I mean, you could do it over the course, I think, of 30 or 40 years, and you do get more out. Because you can either do a lump sum or a monthly amount. So you don't get, say, the $2 million. You can get it right now. They will take the taxes out up front, which is that percentage. And then, or you can do it You get a certain amount per month over the next 50 years. And you get more of the total amount. You still have to pay taxes on it for each time, but as much as we dislike taxes, they are a necessary evil because they pay for a lot of things. And the funny thing is teachers pay taxes in the taxation, so the taxes that they take out of my salary go back into my salary.
Oh yeah, don't.
If I won a lottery and actually like enough that I could retire, I would be smart with it.
Putting it in the bank is semi-smart, but you're better off actually investing it into different things. And Bitcoin is super risky. There actually, if you have enough, it's changing on a second by second basis. But there are financial analysts that their whole job is to manage those kind of things, and they are sitting there doing the stock market, different things, and making sure that you're actually earning back what you put in. Yep. There was a hockey player got his signing bonus, and the first thing he did was hire 2 accountants to manage it.
I would hire an accountant right away.
Yep.
Like 5 of my accountants,
Yes. All right, guys. Let's look at this here. Negative 4x squared minus 8x plus 5.
no greater common.
There is no greatest common factor, but we really need that first term to be positive for this to work. Because with it being negative, it still works, but we have to find the factors of negative 4, not 4. So there's an easy way to fix it. We're going to factor a negative out. We're going to factor negative 1 out. So it's the same as what we've done before, but all I'm going to do is divide every term by negative 1. We're factoring that negative out. So our negative 4x squared divided by negative 1. A negative divided by a negative is a, and 1 divided by 4x squared is 4x squared. 4x squared, actually it's 4x squared divided by 1, but negative 8x divided by negative 1. Negative negative makes a positive, plus 8x. 5 divided by negative 1 is, or negative 5. So even if there is a greatest common factor of, say, 2, and that first term is negative, we just factor out a negative 2. So we get that first term positive. Questions on what we did here? So we feel kind of okay with what we just did. Yes. Everything else is the same. Since there's no other greatest common factor, 2 sets of parentheses with 3 spaces. If the third term is positive, the signs are the same and match the sign of the middle term. If the third term is negative, the signs are opposite. So here they are opposite, plus and minus. Our next step is to find the factors of the first and third term. Our 4x squared, well, we would have x and x. Factors of 4 are 1 and 4 or 2 and 2. Which one do we want to try first? 1 and 4. Yes. Factors of 5 are, where do we want to put the 1? Where do we want to put the 5?
Right there.
And then we can check. 4x times negative 5 is negative 20x. 1 times x is plus x, giving us negative 19x. Is that the middle term we wanted? So we can switch the 1 and 5. And we can check again. 4x times negative 1 is negative 4x. 5 times x is plus 5x. And negative 4x plus 5x is x. That's not what we wanted either. Are there any other factors for the third term? Well, no, it's just 1 and 5. So we need to switch the 1 and 4 to 2 and 2. Go back to green. 2 and 2. And let's check again. 2x times negative 1 is negative 2x. 5 times 2x is plus 10x, giving us positive 8x. Is that the middle term we wanted? Yes. Right, the top one is negative 8, but since we factored the negative out, we're not so much looking for the factors that give us the one with negative 8, but the one with positive 8. And just like with our greatest common factor being a number, we need it included in our answer. The same with the negative. We need that as part of our answer. Questions on this here? Questions on anything so far? Are you ready for the next one? Let's do one more of these, and then I'll give you the rest of the time to work on the assignment. Negative 9x squared minus 3x plus 2. Is there a greatest common factor between the three terms? Well, there's no number that goes into all of them, but because this a term, we need to factor out a negative 1, which is just going to switch all the signs from positive to negative or negative to positive. Since the third term is negative, our signs are opposite. Factors for the first term, factors of 9x squared. With x squared, we'll have x and x. Our factors of 9, we have 1 and 9 or 3 and 3. Which one do we want to try first? 1 and 9 or 3 and 3? Sure, we'll do 3 and 3. Factors of 2 are 1 and 2. Where do we want to put the 2? Where do we want to put the 1? 2 here, 1 there. And then we can check. 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. 2 times 3x would be plus 6x. And negative 3x plus 6x is positive 3x. So these are our correct factors. Questions on any of this here? And that's it. 11 through 23 odd.